This is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I have part one of, I believe it's going to be 2 videos on making sure that you're not sacrificing self-realization or self-actualization for self-improvement. Alright, so I'm going to assume this is going to take me 2 videos. So in this video, we are going to explore why you're doing your self-development, self-improvement work. Okay? We're going to really deeply look at that, what your reasons are, and where you are kind of on the spectrum. And we're going to look at the realities of self-actualization and what that looks like, and why it would be important to become someone who is self-realized. And then in the next videos, we're going to talk about why staying on this self-development path at a point is going to is actually going to hold you back from what you actually want, and how to transition from the self-development path to the self-actualization path. Okay? So if you are someone who's sitting out there who is into personal development work, so you're into life coaching, you're into business coaching, you're into maybe you're into, like, you know, spirituality, yoga, meditation, you're doing your self-introspection work, you're doing work to become a better version of yourself, is essentially how it boils down, right? You want to become a higher, better, greater, faster version of yourself. If you're into this work, my question for you, first and foremost, before we get into this video, is why are you doing your personal development, your personal growth, your self-improvement work? Okay? So if your answer is, because I want a better business, I want to make more money, I want better relationships, I want better sex, I want more success, I want more fame, I want to feel like I'm on purpose. If any of these are kind of your answer here, or if you're kind of like, you know, I'm feeling like I'm weak in my life, like I'm not strong, I'm not capable, I doubt my ability to achieve my goals, I don't even know what my goals are, I'm feeling lost and like I don't really know who or what I am. If any of those are your answer for why you're doing your personal development work, awesome. Okay? Go do your personal development work. Like, really, really stick with it. Go set goals, go strengthen your sense of self, go achieve stuff. Like, really go out there and get what you want. Go see that you can go and get what you want. And I want you to feel like what you're doing right now is incredibly important. And I know that I rag on the self-improvement path a lot. But if your answer to the question, why are you doing your personal growth work, was any of the answers I just listed, go and do that. Okay? Come back to this video in a couple of months or a year or whatever when you've achieved your goals, right? Or when you've come really close to achieving your goals, or when you'll know when it's time to come back to this video. Okay? And like I said, you're perfectly where you need to be. You're awesome. You're on your path, and I think all the power to you. Okay? Now, if your answer for why am I doing my personal growth, personal development work is because I want to become actualized, because I want to become the highest version of myself, because I know that there's more here than just me, but I'm struggling with my woundings, and I'm struggling with my triggers, and I'm struggling with these kind of deeper inner demons, and I can't seem to behave the way that I want to behave. I can't seem to be the person that I know that I am. Perhaps you have achieved some goals, and you've seen your strength, and you've seen that you can create what you want to create in the world. You've gone through the whole manifestation phase, and right, like manifesting your reality and watching yourself create success, and maybe you've achieved goals, like I say, maybe you've really built a business, or you have conquered in relationships, or you've traversed some of these personal failings that you thought that you had in the real 3D world, but you're still feeling like there's something missing. You're still feeling like you're not good enough. You're still feeling like I say, you're struggling with this concept that you know that you're greater, and you know that there's something more to you and to this life, but you keep falling back into these old habits and these old behaviors and maybe self-destructive behaviors, and you've watched yourself do it, and you've tried to, self-improve it out of yourself. You've tried to use discipline. You've tried to use all the self-improvement tools that have worked so well in the past, and they're not working anymore, right? You want to become your higher self, but the tools that you have that worked before don't seem to be working anymore. Then this series is for you. Okay? You're ready now. So if we're going to look at that, so let's say this is where you're at. You know that there's something more. You know there's something greater. You know there's something more to you. There's something greater for you. And you have seen that you can have material success. Or you've at least worked to a point where you've greatly improved your position in life, and you can say that, like, I've definitely personally developed myself. I've become more responsible for myself. I've become more aware of myself. I can see my triggers coming. I can watch myself explode in anger and still see that, that's coming from a wounded part of myself, or any of these things, right? You're in this place. I want you to start to consider that there's something beyond personal development and personal growth, okay? And that the true goal that you're really seeking after here, right, whether you are conscious of it or not, is self-actualization, self-realization. All right, so now I'm just going to throw out the definition of self-realization, self-actualization, to illustrate where your soul is probably calling you towards next, okay? And feel free to disagree with me on this. Feel free to argue semantics with me on this. This is from my perspective at this point, and from what I've seen in others and in myself, that this is a general definition for the self-actualization, self-realization state that we are all moving towards slowly on this planet, okay? So what you are actually truly seeking for is complete knowledge of yourself. And what this means is that you will have had one or many experiences of breaking out of the ego that you think that you are, right? To experience oneness with all. So this is usually what people term enlightenment, right? When you are able to transcend your ego, transcend the little you that you think that you are in this body, in this life, is this identity being all there is to you, and that there is a you that is separate from everybody else. When you are able to transcend that, right, have moments or long moments of awareness of your connection to infinity, right, your connection to all that is, to have an awareness of your connection to all humans on the planet, to all of the planet, to all of the universe, right? You step outside of the limited bounds of what you think you are, to realize that you are all of it. You are infinity, and you are the nothing, right? You have these experiences. So that is an awakening experience, right? We awaken out of the illusion or the delusion that we are just this little individual one person, and that's all there is to us, and that you are separate from everyone and everything, right? So, and then from there, self-actualization, right, is when you take that experience of understanding that you are the all, understanding your connection to all that is, fully knowing and realizing infinity, and then integrating that back into the being that you are, and understanding that infinity and consciousness and God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that oneness that you experience yourself as, is infinity. And therefore, you being yourself is one little possibility, one fragment, one fractal of the infinite possibilities of creation. You see? That you are, in your experience, expanding consciousness, because you are a part of all that is consciousness, all that is God, all that is infinity. And you having your individual experience with the awareness coming, like experiencing it through you, having the experience of being who you are, doing what you're doing with your specific talents, your specific personality, your likes, your dislikes, all of the things that you're going to experience in your life is a part of that. It's a part of the expansion. It's a part of experiencing, is a part of the all experiencing every possibility, right? So you then can reintegrate back into yourself, back into your ego, your identity as this individual that you are, the relative truth, knowing that you are the relative truth, having a minute, individual, fractal experience of the infinite, right? And that you are expanding consciousness for all of consciousness by being the one. You see? You are a part of the expansion. And that you having your life the way that you live it as your ego, right, is a perspective. And it is a needed perspective. We need to experience all the perspectives for oneness to know itself completely. And you are a part of that, right? So this is self-realization. So then you can live your life as your ego, but you wear your ego lightly, right? You live with this knowing that the ego is not all there is to you, right? You live outside of the pain and the suffering that says that you are alone in the universe and that you are the one, or that, you are it. And when you die, that's it. And that love can be separated out from you, and that there's something other than love, and that you can be separated from those that you love. And all of this pain and all of this suffering. Because remember, the ego, when in the light, is everything you're going to experience. You're still going to have your personality, you're still going to have your likes and dislikes, you're still going to have your talents and your skills and your innate abilities and the things that you're drawn to and the things that you're not drawn to, and you're going to have your specific path. All of these things are a part of the ego, and in the light, right? That's awesome. You're just having an experience. You're having an experience as the individual, as the one, right? Where the ego gets us into trouble and gets us in pain and gets us suffering is when we believe that the ego is what we are. When we believe our thoughts are our thoughts. When we believe our experiences are who we are. When we feel wounded and a lack of love. When we feel any place inside of us that has been abandoned, rejected, not said you're not a part of the light, either by others and then by ourselves, this is where we suffer. And this is usually what gets us on the personal development path to begin with, right? Is that what we see is that there's a spectrum that needs to take place in order to reach self-realization. And where most of us are starting is with the super weak, disempowered ego, okay? We're starting with pain and suffering and believing that we are pieces of shit, believing every hurt that's ever happened to us is real, and that everything that we believe about ourselves as a weakness and as a flaw, and that have been rejected by other people and then rejected by ourselves, we live that as our truth. And so it is painful to be this ego. You see? This is where most of us are starting, the disempowered ego. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in your capacity to create or manifest anything you want in the world. You don't believe that you have strength or power. You don't believe that you are good. You are afraid. You feel separate. Maybe you're manipulative. Maybe and also in this weak ego, you're probably not self-aware, right? Like you maybe have self-destructive behaviors that you can't figure out. You get into the same kind of relationships over and over again, and you just keep thinking like, what's wrong with the world. Why do I keep meeting these shitty people, right? You have the same shitty job, you kind of have these life problems, and you're not seeing why, or you're not really noticing patterns. You're not able to take full responsibility for your life, right? You're still blaming and projecting other people. You still believe it's their fault, or mom's fault, or dad's fault, or my boss's fault, or my boyfriend's fault. That you're in this disempowered, victimized ego place, right? And so when we're here, when we're in this disempowered ego place, it's really tempting to want to skip phase 2, which I will tell you about, and go right to phase 3, where you're separated from the ego, and you're just the one, and you're experiencing all that is, and you've transcended your ego, you've transcended your personality, you've transcended your identity, and you're just living as the one now, right? That's going to be an attractive thing to you if you're in the disempowered ego. Because of course, you don't like your ego. You don't like who you are. It's very painful to be who you are. You want to get out of that. You want to get over that. You want to transcend that, right? And so this idea of completely separating out from the ego and being one with all that is going to be really attractive to you. However, you're not going to be able to get there without going through this middle phase, which is ego strengthening, okay? This is where personal development and personal growth comes in. We must take this disempowered, weak ego that says that you are a piece of shit, you can't do anything, you're wrong, you're bad, like you can't take responsibility for your life. You have a shitty job, you have shitty relationships, you feel completely disempowered to make changes in your life, you're incredibly self-destructive, you have, like drinking problems, or you're dealing with drug addiction or food issues and things you just can't seem to traverse. This is where you actually want to get onto the personal development path. Because what this is going to do is it's actually going to strengthen your ego. And this is a necessary phase. You need to go through this, where you start to see your strength. You start to see your capacity for creation. You start to see your capacity for change. You start to see your capacity for controlling things. And you need to strengthen this part of who you are. So, like I said at the beginning, if your goal with your personal development work is to get a better job, make more money, have better sex, have a better relationship, lose weight, get fit, like all of this stuff, and you're amped about that, that's awesome. You need to be there. Do that, okay? This is the phase that you need to be in. Now, if you have been in this phase for a while, and what you're feeling now is, I've accomplished some of this stuff, right? I've accomplished some of my goals. Or, I haven't accomplished my goals, but I've started to realize that those goals aren't going to make me happy. And you're starting to get closer and closer. Like I say, a lot of this outside stuff has changed. Maybe you've lost weight, you've gotten fit, or you've at least, seen some improvements or seen some changes there. You've seen your capacity to make changes in your diet, to make changes in your lifestyle, to do all this stuff, to make changes in your life. You've made more money, you've had some better sex, you've done these kinds of things. And now you're starting to feel like, okay, but I still got triggers. I still got stuff about me that I'm still behaving in a way that I don't want to behave. I'm wanting to take responsibility for myself, and I'm totally aware of what's going on with me, but I can't seem to discipline myself out of it. I can't seem to beat myself up about it enough to get myself to do something different. I can't use my personal growth tools to move me forward. You need this next video, okay? So just think about this. Think about personal self-actualization. Think about your personal growth journey. Think about where you are. Think about how this applies to you. If this self-actualization vision is something that you want, the next video is for you. Until then, leave me any comments, questions, concerns. Let me know what you think. Find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers, Instagram, ally_Perception Trainers, Patreon down below. We meet 3 times a month, sorry. And that's it. I will see you in the next video. Until then, just think about it. Okay? Mwah.